Start. Hello, welcome back. So now I'll start the next session, Introduction to Responsive Web Design. If you have any questions regarding the earlier session, you people can ask, okay, anytime. So in this session, what you are going to learn is understanding the building blocks and architecture of RWD and identify the development environment, okay. As I said, when I was using a technique which was adaptive technique, in the past scenario when I used to make a web pages, I make a web page and I make a web page using a fixed container size. As I said, for example, if I make a web page and inside that web page I want to display the content within, for example, let's say 800 pixels width. So it meaning to say is the layout of my web page is fixed, and if I try to open that web page in all device screens, it will open with 800 pixel only. Okay, so if my web page is going to open on desktop, it will open very well, no problem at all. But if I try to open that page in my mobile page, it will not render properly and it will give you a horizontal bar, and you need to scroll that bar to read or access the whole web page. But when I'm coming to the RWD in the current scenario, whenever I'm trying to make a container of my web page, the container of the web page size is not fixed. It meaning to say is now what I'm going to do is I will make a web page container, and I will say the container of the size of my container is maybe the 90% of the screen, or maybe the 80% of the screen, or maybe the 70% of the screen. It meaning to say is now the size of that container is not fixed. It meaning to say is it is according to the percentage now. So this is something we are going to learn in this session now, how to make our web page responsive, and to build the building block of RWD. What we are going to use to make our web page responsive, 3 things keep in mind. First one is a fluid grid, second is flexible images, and the last option is our media queries. Okay, so starting with first one, a fluid grid. When I'm going to make a web page using a fluid grid, you need to think one thing, that the size of my container is not fixed now. I mean, it's not like 800 pixel or maybe 976 pixel width. I will not give the size of my container fixed. For example, 100 or maybe 1000 or maybe 900. One thing I want to share another thing. Whenever I use a RWD technique, the width of my web page I can give in a percentage, for example 90 or 70, but I cannot give the height of my web page in the percentage. Whenever, for example, somewhere you have to give the height of your maybe the HTML container like a div tag or maybe a section or something else, what you need to do is you need to give the height of the container according to the pixel. Only you can give the width of the web page in a percentage. Okay, so as I said, when I'm using the fluid grid, so size of the screen maybe a 90%. So if I try to open that web page on maybe on the mobile screen, it means the 90% of the mobile screen. If I'm saying I'm trying to open that web page maybe on desktop screen, it means the 90% of the desktop screen. It means you can see the difference. The difference is clearly visible. When I was using AWD technique, the size of my container was fixed, but now the size of container is not fixed. It is according to the percentage of the screen. So I no need to know that what is the size of my screen. I want to say the size when I want to open up a web page, that web page will open on the 90% of the screen. Okay, so it meaning to say is the first thing is I will add a fluidity to my web page, so it will shrink, my web page will shrink according to the size of the screen. Okay, here next thing is flexible images. Flexible images means what? For example, let's say I'm going to use a image inside the container. Image inside the container means, for example, let's say I am using a div tag and the size of that div tag is maybe a 300 pixel. Okay, and if I try to open that image in that container, for example, the size of my width of my image is much bigger than the parent container, so it will change the whole layout of my web page, because that picture is not, that image is not responsive. So how can I make my web page responsive, and how can I make my image responsive so that it will render within that particular container? I will explain this with the example here just to help you. Yes, please. Now, so I'm going to share one example with you here now as how images, I will make images responsive in my web page. Just for example, let's say I was saying that I'm going to make one div. Okay, and you can see the div. I give the size of my div is 400. Okay, and just giving a border to my div, and inside that I try to use one image. You can see over here. Now, if I try to open this, you can see now the size of my image is much more than the size of my div. I give the size of my div is 400 pixel. You can see 400 pixel border is coming over here, and that image, you can see the image size of the image, width of my image is much more than my container. So if I have such a situation and if I try to open my web page, so it will not render properly and the whole layout of my web page will destroy, So what I can do is I need to make a image responsive. What I will do in this case, here in my image tag, let's say I will say style. I said style max width equal to 100%. It meaning to say is now what? 100% I'm giving the size of my width, this image size, and if I will try to open this, now you can see that image is coming inside my container. It meaning to say is when I said 100%, it means the 100% of my container. So if I am giving 100%, it will open my page. Now you can see here the problem is what? Problem is my web page is not responsive and the container size of my container is 400 pixel. You can see image is still coming inside my container, but my container size is 400 pixel and the size of my screen is not is less than 400 now. So I got a horizontal scroll bar over here. It means this web page is not responsive. So how can I make my web page responsive? What I need to do is I will set the size of my container in a percentage, not in a pixels, as I am writing over here. Okay, so in the next coming session I will explain you how to make our web page responsive and how to make our images responsive. This is one example I gave to you. This is how we make our images responsive. Now just for more clarity, you can see over here, if I try to remove this and I try to open this page again, now you can see, look at the picture, is not cropping, and if I try to reduce the size of my screen, you can see, yeah, so it means my image is responsive now. Okay, it will render according to the size of my screen. So right now image is responsive. Now see here, if I will not write this line over here, if I will not write this line here and I try to open that page again, now you can see over here, because fluidity is not provided to my image, and the size of my image is much bigger than the size of my screen. So I got a horizontal scroll bar over here. Okay, so fluidity I will provide to my web page, and I will provide a fluidity to my image. Remember one thing, for example, let's say if I have a web page, I provide a fluidity to my web page, okay, and maybe inside the web page I have a container. Let's say for example container is a div container. Okay, I use HTML element and that is a div, and I provide a fluidity to my whole web page, and I am not providing a fluidity to my image. Okay, so it will not render properly. I repeat again, images are not rendered automatically in my web page. I need to provide a fluidity to my image in my responsive web page. Okay, rest all things inside the web page will render according to the screen size. It may be the content, or it may be the navigation menu, or it may be anything else except the images. So whenever I want to make my images responsive, I need to add fluidity, and for that you need to write this line. When you will add this line to your web page, it will become responsive. Now you can see again, if I try to use the same page, see, your image is responsive now. So moving next now here again, so two things I explained. How to provide a fluidity to your web page. Okay, we use a fluid grid. As I said, we use a percentage in our web page rather than using a fixed pixels. Okay. Second thing, how to add a fluidity to my images. I will use a flexible image. Okay. See. Third point, I need to use a media query. Why I need a media query? For example, let's say if I provide a fluidity to my web page. Okay, just for example, I make one RWD page, okay, responsive web design, and I am not using a media query, and what I did is, maybe I try to make a layout in my web page, and I try to divide my web page into three columns. Okay, and because my web page is responsive, it will render properly in all devices, but at some point of time it may be the content inside my web page are not properly readable, you know. So in that case, what I need to do is, again I need a help of media query, so that I can override the default styles, override the default design of my web page. Okay, so the part which I'm going to use is media query. These media queries are introduced in a CSS3. Okay. As I said, you can see a media query override the default style. Sometimes maybe I am trying to open my web page on my mobile device, and I am using a portrait. Okay, and maybe sometime I want to maybe change it into a landscape. So for that, because you can see the width of the page, you know, the width of the page maybe differ. Yeah, so it may be now I want to change the layout, or maybe I want to change the design. So in that case, I need a media query, so that I can override the default styles of my web page. Any questions till now? Yes, anyone have any question? Three things I explained. Anyone have a question about fluid grid, image, and media query? Okay, moving forward. Architecture of RWD. You can see on the frame here, I have three layers. First is HTML part, second is my CSS part, and third one is my jQuery. As you people know that, you know, HTML is just to describe the structure of my web page. It's not to design my web page. Whenever I want to use CSS, it means I want to design the structure of my web page. Okay, HTML is just to describe the structure, CSS is to design. Okay, and I can use a JavaScript or a jQuery to make my web page interactive, dynamic. Because if I'm making a web page using HTML, it will just make me a web page that's a dull page. Okay, you know, it cannot fire any event. Okay, just like a dump. So I need to do what? I need to make it interactive. Maybe I need to do some validations. Okay, or I want to perform some animations. So for that I need a third one, that is a jQuery or a JavaScript. So here you can see when I'm saying HTML first part, in HTML5 there are few new tags introduced which I can use to make my web page responsive. Like we have a nav tag, nav, that is mostly we'll use to make for navigations, means to create a menus. Then I have a footer which is used to make a footer, and then I have an article and a side. You know, a side, sometimes when I create a layout of my web page, maybe I want to divide the container maybe into two parts, maybe one for my navigations. I want to show navigation in my right side, okay, or maybe the left side. I can use a tag whose name is a side. In HTML5 we can use directly the tag use like audio and video. Okay, whenever I want to show some videos or some voice. When I'm saying about my CSS, in my CSS, this is just to design my web page. Okay, we need to set the different properties of my HTML elements. Okay, as you know that whenever I want to use a CSS, I can set the properties of my HTML element using selectors, and that selector, it may be my ID or it may be the class. Okay. As you can see, if I am trying to use a CSS, you can see it gives a look and feel to my web page. If I'm using a simple HTML, I'm not using a CSS, my web page, you can see, as I said, HTML is just to describe the structure of a web page, and when I use CSS, it make my page beautiful. Okay, I will apply different styles. Okay, media query, I will explain again. Media query, I will try to explain with example here. For example, this structure I'm going to make here for my desktop. I'm going to make one layout. Okay, and in my web page, I am making a layout something like this over here. Okay, and this part is my header part, and over here this part is for my navigation. Okay, this is for navigation. I will make some menus like this. Okay, now when I add a fluidity to my web page, okay, it will render according to a device screen. Okay, that is fine, but just think that if I am trying to open a web page on maybe the device whose screen size is very small, maybe 320 pixels. Okay, and you can see over here I have a navigation menu. Okay, if I will try to display this navigation menu over here, I need a space, but I don't have enough space for that. So what I need to do, I need to override the design of default design of my web page, so that I can do what? I can design my web page according to the screen size. So I can do what? I can use a media query, and I will say the size of my screen is 320 pixel. It means now the default style of my web page will not apply to my web page, and the style which I am going to use over here is 320. I will give you the example on my screen here. Look at this place now. Okay, I'm going to use this. See here, if I try to make my web page, okay, if this is full size, it's okay. Now see, I'm trying to make my web page small. Now you can see here now, because in this web page I use a media query, and I said when the size of my screen is here. These are the default styles which I applied on my web page. Okay, see. Okay, this is default, but now you can see over here I said media. I want to use a media query. This is next I will explain in detail about a media query in lesson number 3, but still for some to clear your doubt, I am writing over here, you can see a media, and I am saying the media type. We have a different type of media. Let's say I am saying media type is maybe a screen, maybe a print, because sometime I want to take a printout, so media type is screen. Maybe the media type is TV, so I can write media type screen. I have different options which I will explain later. Now what I did is I said the size you can see over here I said the max width is 481 pixel. It meaning to say is now when my web page will open on the screen whose max width is 481, so means these default styles will not apply, and whatever the style I give over here will apply. You can see over here earlier I said what in this page in the beginning I said what, you can see size of container is what, you can see I said size of the container is 1024 pixel. Okay, but when I comes to my media query I said see here size is 310. So it meaning to say is I will use a media query so that I can override the default style of my web page, and I can use maybe I can give a different style to my web page according to the screen. Okay, so I already gave the example of media query. Media query I will explain in lesson number 3 again in more detail. Okay,
Okay.
so is it okay now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So moving forward now again. In my responsive website, I also use client-side scripting. Different use. Maybe I want to use a client-side scripting for validations. I mean, maybe sometimes form validations, or to make my web page interactive. I want to add some animations on my web page. So for that, I can use a jQuery. Okay, we have different options for client-side validations. I can use a jQuery, I can use a JavaScript, I can use a VB script. We have a AngularJS, we have a Knockout. Okay, we have Backbone. So in the later part, I will explain all these things. So here is a question. In the RWD architectures, the layer comprises the rich semantic hypertext markup language. That is what? Yes, please. Anyone have any question? I will explain more media queries in lesson number 3. Okay, maybe the next session, maybe tomorrow. Just to explain you how we use a media query in our responsive web design. I just gave one example. Okay. So I'm moving forward now. So the next topic here is identifying the development environments. Whenever I want to make any website, you know, the IDE play a major role to make a website quickly. Okay, we have one presentation over here for IDE. I will explain that. In fact, I will start one animation here that is for IDE.
Mary studies in the second year of college. As her project work, she has to create a responsive website that adjusts itself to any screen size. Studies in the second year of college. As her project work, she has to create a responsive website that adjusts itself to any screen size. She discusses this with her friend John and asks him about how to proceed with it. John informs her that she needs to first set up a development environment, which is a collection of tools such as Integrated Development Environment, or IDE, and simulators used to create a program or an application in a specific language. Let us learn the use of IDE and simulators. An IDE facilitates the development of applications by providing built-in features of building graphic or user interface, or GUI, compiling, debugging, testing, and editing the source code of the application. Some examples of IDEs are Dreamweaver, Eclipse, NetBeans, and WebMatrix. Once you have created a website using IDE, you need to test it on different devices, such as browser and simulator. A mobile simulator refers to software that creates a virtual machine of a mobile device, such as iPhone, iPad, or any other smartphone, on your personal computer. A simulator enables you to test website content in real-time devices, locate errors or loopholes, and test rendering of a website on different devices. You can see that the same website is rendered differently on different devices. This implies that to create a website, you need to first set up the development environment, including IDE, browser, and simulator.
So IDE, as you can see on the screen, why we use IDE. It enables you to create, debug, and edit test the source code for responsive web applications. We have a different example of IDE. Some people use Dreamweaver, some people use maybe a Visual Studio, someone maybe use a WebMatrix. So in this course, we are going to use a WebMatrix. Okay. I will also explain how to use a WebMatrix in this course. I'll give a simple demo here. So here is WebMatrix. I will open it. the beginning of the screen, I can get the last used website. I will give you the example how to make one simple website in Web Matrix. I will simply go to File, okay, and then I will say New, and I have a different options to make a website. Okay, here I want to make my own website. So what I will do is I will choose the option that is empty site. I will click this, okay, and it will create one home directory for my website. And later, if I want to add any HTML file, I will make a right click on my this home directory. I will say new file, and we have different options over here which kind of file I want to add. So let's say, for example, if I want to say HTML file, so I will choose HTML over here. I want to give the name, so I am saying, for example, home. So it will add a HTML file here. Whatever text you want to write over here, just write it, and then you can save this. And to run this, just need to click it over here and say launch in browser. Sometimes it may be when you try to access this, it not display the web page. So you can simply just, if you click over here and then say right click launch in browser, it will open. Okay. So this is simple example how I use ID, this Web Matrix ID in our this course RWD, okay, and how to create a simple web page using a Web Matrix. So as I already explained about ID, we have a different IDs, okay, and then next Web Matrix, as I explained now, this is the ID which we are going to use in this, and by using a Web Matrix we can create a different web pages, okay. I can use HTML5, CSS, ASP.NET, PHP and XML, okay. Then we have another framework, that is Twitter Bootstrap, which we will discuss in lesson number 8. This is one framework which will help me to create a website faster. Mobile first website, usually we call it a mobile first, because these websites are fully responsive, and by keeping a mobile device in mind, we create a website, okay. So this is one tool which we will learn later. The browsers, web browser, these web browsers we will use mostly, and in our course we use a Google Chrome. As I said in earlier, that sometimes maybe different HTML tags and CSS properties maybe not spotted by IE or maybe Firefox, so better to use a Google Chrome. Then we have a mobile simulators. These mobile simulators you will find in your Web Matrix also. I will explain here. Just to give one demo. You can see my screen over here. I have a simulators. I have an iPad and I have an iPhone. It meaning to say is, maybe if I want to open a web page in my iPhone, so I will run my web page on iPhone. So you can see this web page will appear on my iPhone here, okay. So basically these are the simulators which I will use to to check my web page, how it will render on my mobile phone, maybe iPhone, or maybe any other Android phone. Okay, so I have options here how to add these simulators. You can choose it from here, add new. Okay, we have different options. So moving next now here. We have a question here. Is an open source IDE that provides a platform for creating the applications primarily in Java? Do you have any idea? Yes. Anyone knows? Yes. Anyone knows? Okay. Mostly we use a NetBeans. Whenever I create applications for Java, biometrics ID, I already explained to you how to use a biometrics and how to create a web page using a biometrics. We have an activity to create a web page using a biometrics. Okay, I will explain and I will create this for you. So this I already explained how to make a simple web using biometrics. Okay, and we have another activity over here, how to create a web page for food hub. Actually, what we are going to do is in this course we are going to use one example, that is for a food hub. A food hub is basically one a chain in America, and we are going to build a website for them. And this is activity which is built upon. I mean, the first lesson I will start from the first lesson, and it will go till end of the course. So in the beginning, I'm going to just create a simple web page for Food Hub website, and input file for this you will get in your Ethereum. I have this for me. You can find in your Ethereum folder later. So here is input file, and I'm going to use this input file. I'm going to extract this here, and I will follow LG. So in the beginning, I'm just trying to give one example. In that example, I'm just trying to make a one web page that is not very attractive. Just for example, just think that you are a layman and you try to make one web page. That page is not very attractive and not very beautiful. And you came to study, and then you try to make a web page that is beautiful. Okay. So initially, I will just make a web page which is just like this. Okay, this will look like this. Okay, a simple web page, which later you will find that it is not that appealing, and we'll try to make that web page appealing in lesson number 2. Okay, so what we have to do in this activity, we have to build one web for a food hub, and we need to display the logo, we need to display the header and some menus. Okay, and we need to create another maybe the pages for them, we need to display some images. Okay, and something like this. So I will follow the step here. Now I want to make one new website. I will make a new, and I will rename it Food Hub. So you can see over here, as I said earlier, how to make a HTML page. Right click the Food Hub website. So I will make a Food Hub website, and then I will create a HTML page. So I want to make a home page. So over here, just click this and new, and say HTML, and then over here say home. So this HTML page will include in your this website. After that, I have to make one folder here. So I will say right click and say new folder, and then I will create a folder with the name of images. I need to put all images in my this folder. So So what I will do is I will copy these pictures, and I will add these pictures in my folder here. Okay, and then I need to add some code here. You can see at the following code snippet. So everything is given here step by step. You just need to follow the steps. And I want that whenever later you people will take a session, please make sure that you people will use these lab guides and exercises, because these are created properly, and the example are given which are very nice. Okay, so I request you to all people to add use these activities and exercise later in the classrooms. Okay, so I will copy this, and of course the first chapter, this activity and the web page which we created is not that appealing. We just make it intentionally so that we can try to make it better in the later section when we will apply styles in lesson number 2 using the CSS. So I just try to make a web page, simple web page, and in this web page I just want to make a header. I use a, you can see over here I use a logo, and then maybe just to display the introduction for my food hub, I'm writing a content over here. Then I'm using one tag over here, detail, for some cuisines we have, and the end we have a picture image gallery over here. Okay, this is the beginning of just a web page, and just to give an idea that if you are just a layman and you are trying to make a web page and it looks something like this, which is of course this is looking ugly. So what we try to do is we try to make it beautiful in the coming sessions. Okay, by using the same activity. Okay, same file. So all you have to do is while creating your activities, you need to follow the step. Okay, everything is explained and everything is written over here, so you can get an idea why I'm writing this thing. Of course, you people know HTML and CSS, so I think no need to explain that what I'm writing over here, but still the explanation is given over here, so you need to just follow this. Okay, follow the step and you can perform the activity. So all about activities which I just performed like this. Okay, you will get your input file in your Ethereum. So what we have learned in this session, I'll try to summarize again. I said whenever I want to make a responsive web page, I need to take care of three things. I need to add the fluidity. Okay, so how can I add a fluidity? I will use a fluid grid. Okay, and when I talk about a fluid grid, what we do is rather than using a fixed layout and giving the value in a pixels, we will try to use a percentage. Okay, for example, 90% of the container, 60% of the container, like this. Then we need to add the fluidity to our images, means to make our images responsive. Okay, and for that I give one example, small example to you how to use. We give the max image width, that max width is maybe 100%, and then I explain to you a media query. Okay, media query which we will use in the lesson number 3 again. Okay, in details. So as I said, media query why I use, if I have a one CSS and I apply that CSS in CSS styles in that CSS file, and maybe in I want to open a web page maybe in a small device, and I want that the default styles, I want to override them, and I want that my web page will render according to the size of my screen. So what we do is we use a media query. Another thing which I said is media query I will use because we have a different types of media. We have a print media, we have a screen, or we have a TV. Okay, so for that I will use a media query. And next thing which I explain to you is architecture of RWD. As I said, we have a content layer, we have a presentation layer, and we have a client-side scripting. So content layer, of course, I'm saying means HTML. Okay, as I said, HTML is just to describe the structure of my web page. Then to beautify that web page, to make that web page appealing, visually appealing, I will use the CSS. Okay, and at the end, when I want to make my web page interactive, maybe I want to add some animations, or maybe I want to do some validation on my web page, client-side validations. So I will use a client-side script. We have an option for JavaScript, and we have option for a jQuery. Okay. So after this session, what you have to do is you have to perform some exercises. These exercises input files you can get in your Telegram folder, and we have a session after maybe a session at 3 o'clock, and whenever after this session you have a time, you can just go through from the Telegram. You have animations, you can check the animations, you can check the input files to to perform the exercises. Okay. And anyone have any doubt regarding this session, you people can ask.
Hello.
Yes, Sukesh, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Do you have any question?
No, sir. No doubt.
Should I ask you some questions?
Fine with the class. Yeah.
So just tell me one thing. What thing you found in RWD which is better comparatively AWD?
We should not in AWT we write separately for each and every device, whereas in RWT we don't write separately. We write one thing which is automatically sustainable. Like in any device you open, it automatically takes that device properties and the display will be accordingly.
So do you agree that RWD is better than AWD?
At now, yes. It's still to learn in IWT, but okay, at now whatever I've learned, it's good.
At any point you think that AWD is better than RWD?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? As I told you in the beginning, at sometimes maybe if you are going to make a web page and you are sure that your web page you are going to use only in your company and in your desktop machine only. Yeah.
That time, yeah, it is required.
Yeah. So at that time you will use a AWD, okay? Because as I said, AWD works faster as compared to RWD. Yeah.
It is slower. This is
because RWD at some extent it becomes slow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Any other doubt?
Nothing, sir.
Okay. Anyone have any doubts? Yes, please. Anyone have any doubts regarding first session or a second session regarding any topic? Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello. Good afternoon, sir. Hello.
Hello?
Hello. Hello. Good afternoon, sir. Hello.
Hello?
Good afternoon, sir.
Hello?
Hello. It is audible, sir.
Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have any query?
Right now there is no query, sir.
Okay. Just tell me one thing. Should I ask question? Am I audible?
Fine, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Just tell me one thing.
Yes, sir.
What is the role of media query in RWD?
The role of media query is in order to flexibility of the web application will be more when using this media query, sir. When you are dividing our web application into number of columns, those columns can be flexible. Those horizontal bars and vertical bars will not be come when we using this.
I'm asking what media query. What is the role of media query in RWD?
The media query will flexible our web application. So that,
See, what I said is, what I explained, you are saying totally different. What I said is, media query is a part of CSS3, and we use a media query sometimes because sometimes if I am trying to open a web page, just for example, let's say if I'm trying to open a web page on desktop, okay, so the default style will apply. Okay, now if I try to open a same web page on a small device screen, okay, small device screen, so maybe I want to override the default design of my web page. Okay, so what I will do is I will use a media query, and by using a media query, what I will do is I will override the design according to the size of the screen. Let's say, for example, if I want to use a web, I want to open a web page on my mobile phone, and I know that the size of the mobile phone, for example, iPhone size is 320 pixels. Okay, so for example, my web page is made on 976 pixel. Okay, 976 pixels. That is default, right? And now I want to open a web page on my mobile phone, that is iPhone, and the size of my screen is 320 pixels. Okay, so I want that when I open a web page on my iPhone, I don't want to use the default design or style which I apply on my web page. I want to make it different. Okay, so what I will do is I will use a media query, and in my media query I will say if the size of the screen is 381 or 481 or 320, so I will give the different style. For that means I will override the style which I provided in the CSS. Okay, default CSS. Okay, so it meaning to say is whenever I will open my web page in iPhone, it will render according to the style which I provided in the media query. Okay, not the default style. Okay, second example I said is what time I will use media query, because it may be sometimes the type of media is not same. You know, for example, let's say, just for giving an example, I am going to make one web page, okay, and in my web page I use a font, and font size is what? Font size is maybe a 16 pixel, okay, and the size is 16 pixel, and the color of my text is maybe a green color or maybe a blue color. Okay, you getting my point? I use a web page, and in my web page I gave the size 16 pixel, and the text color is maybe a blue color, okay? But now think that when I want to take a print out of that web page, okay, print out of that web page, I want that the size become less, and I want the font size maybe a 10 pixels, and the size and the color of my text is black color. You understand my meaning? Same web page, but two different media types. One is a screen. On screen, I want to show my web page with 16 pixels and the blue color. But when I want to take a print out, I want that the size of my content become 10 pixel and the color of that content become a black color. So I will use a media query. Understand my meaning? So another example I can say is, if I want to break through my web page according to the size of the screen. Breakthrough meaning to say is what? For example, I have a web page and I want to apply a default style for my web page, and that will open on maybe desktop screen, okay? And I want to apply a different style for my tablets. I want to apply a different style for my mobile phone, okay? So in that case, I need to use a media query so that I can break through the designs of my web page. You getting my meaning? Okay, any other doubt?
No, sir.
Any other person have any question regarding first or second session?
Take the next one. Meanwhile, we'll check.
Okay. Hello?
Yes, sir. Hello?
Yeah, I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any query? Any question?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. So do you have any question regarding HTML5 or CSS3?
No, sir, not for HTML5 or CSS.
Okay. Do you have any idea what are the some difference between HTML5 and HTML4?
The few of the tags that you mentioned, sir, like navigation, footer, article,
Yeah.
and aside.
Yeah. So these are some new tags introduced in HTML5. Okay. Secondly, sometimes we want to use tags related to media, maybe the audio or maybe video. So we have audio and video tags over here, and we can use them here. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Any question regarding RWD?
No, sir. So one last thing. What is the third building block of RWD? One was fluid grids, flexible images, and the third one is media query.
Yeah.
Right, sir?
Yeah, media query. Three things we use together actually. Okay, fluid grid, right? And that will provide a fluidity to my web page. I use images to make my images responsive. As I said, I told you that if I add a fluidity to my web page, my content of the web page will render according to device screen, but my images will not render.
Yes, sir.
You
So
getting
that
my
you have
meaning?
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Content goes on, but the image still remains out of the container. So because of that, you make the images flexible as well.
Yeah, I mean to say is when I add a fluidity to my web page, whatever content you provide inside in the web page, it will render according to the size of the screen, but images will not render. Okay, for that you need to do what? You need to add the fluidity to the images itself. So
Images
you need to
itself,
add the
okay.
mesh size, then it will
Yes.
get a fluidity, right? And last,
Yes,
we need to use a media query at some times, because see,
again,
if
to
I will not
override the
use a media
default.
query, yeah. If I will not use media query, still it's okay. But at some times, at point of time when my size of the screen becomes very small, so maybe the content become unreadable, or maybe that is not clearly visible. So at that time, I need to use a media query. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Do you have any question? Yeah. Hello. Yeah. Yeah. Please.
Yeah, I have a doubt in archive and footer.
Footer. Basically, a footer is one HTML tag that is introduced in HTML5. Basically, it is just to whenever in my website I want to add a footer which comes at the bottom of my web page.
But I tried that, sir, but it is not coming. It is coming only for the table representation. It will be coming.
I'm
But
not
if I use normal header and footer tag,
I'm not able to hear you.
if I use
Yeah.
hello, sir.
Yeah.
If yeah, it's not working. It's not working. In table it is working. For that only I'm asking, sir.
It's not working.
Yes, sir. It is not coming at the bottom of the statement.
See, it's not like that. It will come at the bottom of the web page. This is just like, for example, if I'm making a div, like in HTML5 we have a different containers. Like we use a div container, right? So just to make understandable, what we use is in HTML5 we have a different element. Like we have a nav. It's not that nav is used to make a navigation. Okay, it's just to for our better understanding. We have a tag, for example, nav, and whenever I want to make a navigation, I can add that tag, and I can add my menus inside that nav. The same thing I can do with a div also. You understand?
Okay,
So,
okay.
for example, we have a header. We have a header tag, we have a footer tag, okay, we have a detail tag, we have a section tag. So it's not that if I'm saying header, it will appear at the top of the web page. If I'm using a footer, it will appear at the bottom of the web page. It's just for our understanding that it's better to use a footer tag or header tag whenever I'm making a header of my web page. Instead of using header or footer, I can also use a div, and I can write ID header or a ID footer.
Okay.
You understand my meaning? It's just an container. It's just an container that I will use for my footer. Okay? Same as like we have a div tag, we have a header and footer and nav, section, detail. Okay?
Fine, sir.
Yeah. Any other doubt?
No, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, Nikhil, can you hear me?
Hello. Yes, sir.
So, do you have any query?
No, sir.
Any question you have?
No, sir.
Uh,
Sir, a few of the demos are not visible to me. A few of the demos are not visible to me. The last demo you have given, sir.
please speak loudly.
Sir, few of the demos are not visible to me. The last demo you have given is not visible to me.
The last? You are not audible, I think. What is last? You said last?
Sir, the last demo you have given is not visible to me.
Last demo, that activity which I performed, that one?
Yes, sir. Yes.
This is just one activity which I performed here, and you will also get the teaching folder. Okay, you can download from there, and input file is given over there. Next time, when you have a next session, you have a free time, you can take a input file from the teaching folder, and you can get the LG from the same teaching folder over there, and you can perform that activity, and then you can see. Okay, it's just a simple web page I created, and I just give a demo how to create a simple web page using a web matrix.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
And anything that you any concept which you did not understand regarding the AWD or RWD or a fluid grid or responsive image or a media query, because all these things just we in first and second session we just covered only these things. What is AWD and what is RWD and what is a fluid grid and what is responsive images and what is a media query. Only these things we covered until now. So any doubt you have regarding these 5 concepts, you can ask.
No, sir, no doubt.
So are you okay?
Hello?
Okay, thank you.
Hello?
Any other person who want to ask something? How to install web matrix? In your team folder, you will find one implementation manual. You can go through from that implementation manual and you can install. It's very easy. Just you need to go to the web matrix website and then you need to say next, nothing. Everything is given in this implementation manual. Hello? 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 Yes, Ravi, can you hear me?
Hello.
Yeah. Hello?
So actually, I have one doubt. Like, if
Mm-hmm.
we are using web matrix for designing partner, then do we require the Visual Studio? Like, why do we?
No, that is
we have
actually
used
that is
Visual
not
Studio
required.
also?
Actually, that is not required. But in the later lesson number 6 and 7, actually we try to use MVC, you know. So we try to use MVC architecture. So for that I use Visual Studio, just for one example only. Okay. If the student have a background of maybe ASP.NET or ASP or PHP, then they, I think they no need to use this Visual Studio. Okay. Because our students have a background of MVC architecture, so we give one example how to fetch data from the server. So for that only we use this Visual Studio. Otherwise, we will use Automatic only.
Okay.
Okay.
And sir, Twitter Bootstrap is also an IDE.
Yeah, it's basically a one JavaScript library. That is a framework. Actually, that is a framework.
Okay.
In that framework, we will get a ready-to-use code. Okay, that code is already available on the website, and whatever I want to use, I will just go to that web and I will copy that content from there and I will add that in my website. It's just like whenever we use tools in our ASP.NET using a Visual Studio, and we just drag and drop the buttons, and at the back end our Visual Studio automatically write the code. So in Twitter Bootstrap, for example, let's say if I want to use a button, so for that button I will go to that web, and from there I will just copy the code, and maybe because I want to apply different style on my button, maybe for example I want to make my button smaller in size, wider in size, maybe I want to apply some different colors on that button. So for that I will just go there and I will copy the code and then I will put in my website and I will create my web. It's just a ready to make, ready to use code. I will just go there, copy the content and I will put into my web page.
Okay.
Any other question?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other participant have any question? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah?
Could you able to hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Webmatic does not support ASP MVC pattern?
I beg your pardon?
Like right now we are using Webmatic to develop an application.
Mm-hmm.
You told to a previous faculty like we will be showing demo for ASP MVC alone using Visual Studio.
Mm-hmm.
So Webmatic does not support ASP MVC.
Yeah. For MVC, we are going to use a Visual Studio 2012.
Like my query is, does Webmatic support ASP MVC or not?
Not. MVC architectures.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you tell me, sir.
What I'm saying is, for our, for example, we have our student, they already learn MVC architecture in maybe in the previous sessions. So they are used to with Visual Studio. Visual Studio 2012. Okay, means what they have learned in MVC architecture, they learned using Visual Studio 2012, and second thing is MVC. If I want to use here in Webmatic, so it's not there. So we use Visual Studio 12 over there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So right now I don't have that software in my center. Can I use
See,
Visual Studio
I have I give you an option. This is one option I get. I will explain later also. It depends which place this course is going to be used. Okay. So if student don't have a MVC background, so and student have a background of sorry ASP, or student have a background of PHP. So in the coordinator guide, we will giving this code, you know. So rather than using MVC, they can use ASP code. This is just one small piece of code which I'm going to use just to explain how to fetch the data from the server. Okay, because this course is all about a client side, not a server side, and we are not going to teach any server side technology in this course. Okay. So this is one example which I am going to use in lesson number 7, how to fetch data from the server. So for that I need to use a server side technology. It may be a PHP or ASP or MVC, because our students are used to with MVC architecture. So and they learn this in previous sessions. So we use that. Okay, if you don't have, then you can just write a single line code that I will explain you later how to write that code in ASP or in PHP, just to use that. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Another thing is we also need a server. You understand my meaning? We also need a server when I am trying to access data from the server, because I am making this for my client side only. I want to access my web page from the server. It means my request from my machine, it will go to a server family, you know. So somewhere I need a server, and for that we need a application server of 2012.
Okay, sir.
You getting my meaning?
So yeah, sir, I got it.
Yeah. Any other question?
Like you told in the morning, you'll be giving the student ID and password in order to check the content. So will we get it right now or?
Yeah. I think we will float that to you. We will float.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other question?
Thank you so much, sir. No, sir. Thank you.
Okay, welcome. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, Rajiv, just tell me.
Hello?
Yeah, Rajiv.
Sukesh, good afternoon. Hello?
Yeah? You are asking for 1 hour brush-up session, right?
Yeah, Sukesh, it will be better that if you would have taken that 1 hour brush-up session for this one.
Actually, Rajiv, the necessity of this course, you know, prerequisite is student must know HTML5 and CSS. Okay. So we don't have that much time that we will explain HTML and CSS. Okay. So you need to.
What we are going to. No, Sukesh, main things what we are going to use, because we know the HTML5 and this one, but before this we.
I think you joined later. You joined later in the morning, in the beginning session. I just started with how we start to make a web page in the earlier days, and then I give an example how we make the HTML and CSS separate, and then I give the example how we start to use media query. In the morning session, I give that brush-up session in the morning.
No, so okay, right from the beginning you started with the few demos.
Yeah.
Right, what you have shown the demos, different demos, and there you have shown the table, how we can table layout.
Yeah.
Then we have used the div tag.
So what kind of?
What I'm trying to tell you that what I'm trying to tell you, it is in generalization, right? If you have given some the breadth of kind of things about the HTML5 and this, then it will be give the clear cut picture to us, Because
You mean you want that I will give you an example? You mean you want that I will give you one example?
Any examples? Yeah, some the theoretical concepts, the where deep tag, from the deep tag where it has derived, right? So something we want to get it back. If you could have done later also, no problem. But at least 1 hour sessions to link with this responsive web design, RWD, and how CSS and HTML5 will help us. You told all those things, but still in somewhere, and if you want to link it, it will be better for us.
What kind of doubt you have? Then if you have any doubt, you can ask me. Just as I said, see, HTML, just HTML part, okay. CSS, CSS, right? Okay. So if I have a if I have a selectors, for example, if I'm giving a ID or I'm giving a class selector, I will just give you a demo, 5 minutes demo to you, okay? Just 5 minutes demo, okay? We don't have a bandwidth, but still I'm giving a 5 minutes demo to you.
Okay, no problem. Thanks. That will be better.
Just giving 5-minute demo, okay?
Yeah, no problem.
So yes, please, I will explain this just once again, okay? Just try to understand over here. The first thing is I need to create a container of my web page, okay? So I will explain with the example here. Let's see, for example, just try to understand my meaning over here. For example, this is the screen. This is my maybe my desktop screen, okay, and I want to show my web page on this desktop screen, and what I want is I want to display my web page over here in the center of my screen, over here, for example, okay. So when I'm using a body tag in my HTML page, okay, so that body tag covers to my whole page, okay, but still I want to show my contents not in the whole page. I want to use a specific area. So what we do is we always create a container in which we will show our contents. So for example, over here to here, this place to this place, maybe the size is 976 pixels, okay, and this whole screen is 1024 pixels. But I want to show what? I want to show that my web page will render only on this much of screen, 976 pixels, okay. So what I am doing over here is, in my body section here, you can see in the body tag, what I did is I create one div and I give a ID that is a container, and this container I'm going to use in my CSS file. So here, this is my CSS file. See here. So if I want to use this ID in my CSS file, so we always use ID with our hash symbol over here. So hash, and then is the name of the container which is given over here, ID a container. And then what I said is I want to say that the width of that container is 1000 pixel, and I said margin is 0, and this is auto. You can see over here. If I will give the example here, now look at this screen here now. See here. So this is coming on my 1000 pixel. I will try to make it a little small. I am writing over here, for example, 800. Okay, so now you can see, okay, size of this, right? So because this is not properly nested, so maybe it is coming outside. Okay, so if I will make it new, I will give just a simple example to you. See here, if I'm going to make one div, I'm giving a container, and I'm trying to use an inline example. So I am giving a style. Okay, and now if I want to use this ID, see here, I'm trying to make one div. Right now this div is empty. Okay, so I said the size of div is how much? I said 800 pixel. Okay, so let's say I want to give a height. Let's say I'm giving a height over here, and I said height is 700 pixels. Okay, so now you can see I got a height, yes, but my web page is coming in the left side. I can add some other properties over here. Say for example margin. I'm giving a margin top and the bottom is 0, and left and right is I'm giving auto. So now you can see my web page is coming in shape and it is coming in the center of the screen. Okay, so same thing you need to do. Whatever element you use in your this div tag. So actually this is my div. Whenever I want to make a header, for example, I will say div id equal to header. Okay, so this is for my header. This is my this one I'm going to make for my footer. Okay, and then I want to make it for my navigation, and then over here I want to make it for my content. So this is my content. So what I will do is, now you can see this is how I just create a structure of my web page. I have a header, I have a nav, I have a content, and I have a footer. Now in my this CSS over here, I will start to apply the styles. Okay, at some point if I want to use a media queries, I will add the media queries as I used over here. See this place. See this place. This is I use for containers. So I use all the styles. See, and then if sometimes I want to use a media query, I will add a media query over this place. Okay. One more example I will give you about a media query. You can see in the example. In this example, I said that our home page. This is home page of my website, and it will render according to the size of the screen. Okay, size of the screen. So what I did is I tried to use a CSS, and here you can see this is my CSS, and in this CSS somewhere I also use a media query. You can find it over here. I will show you in WordPad. See here. This is the place where I use a media query. I use a media query for 480 pixel. I use a media query for my 650 pixel. I use a media query for 980. Okay, and this is a default. This is default for all. This design will apply to all. But when I want to override it, I use a media query, and I use for different sizes, media sizes, 980 pixel, and we have 650, and then we have a 480. Okay. Yes, any other question? So we will wind up for this session now. Okay, and we will get back at 3 o'clock. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm. Okay. Just 5 minutes. Yes, please, you can note down your student IDs and passwords. Not this one. Yes, sir. You send it today. Okay. This is for all students. Okay, so you can use this one. Yeah, this is the student ID and the password. In the break time, after taking your lunch, you can just perform the activities, okay, and exercise as per the session plan. And we'll get that. Yeah, everything is given in your TRM folder. You can find the session plan and everything. Yeah. So we'll start next session at 3 o'clock. Yeah. So we will meet sharp 3 o'clock.